Good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. This week we're looking at the number 40 in the Bible. And one of the things we've learned so far is that it may or may not refer to an exact period of 40 days or 40 years, but instead it means something along the lines of as long as it takes. Well, just like our time under the rules of this pandemic, the Israelites in today's story must have wished it took less time than it did. Our story today comes from 1 Samuel 17, and it's the story of David and Goliath. Most of us are probably familiar with this story, or at least the action parts of this story. There were, of course, some things that happened leading up to David and the sling. Israel had an ongoing, tempestuous relationship with the Philistines. For a large part of the Old Testament, the two nations seem at war, or at least at odds, not too unlike what is happening in the Mideast today. The Philistines were living in what we call the Gaza Strip today. When the story begins, the two armies are encamped against each other, and the Philistines had a giant among them named Goliath. Twice a day, for 40 days, Goliath went forth and issued a challenge to the army of Israel. "There's no need for all of us to get killed," he would say. "You send over your best warrior to fight me, and whoever loses, his people will be slaves to the victor's people." No one answered his challenge. Everyone was afraid. David was a young boy who was delivering supplies to his brothers in the army when he heard the challenge and vowed to fight. You probably know the rest of the story from there. But for 40 days, Goliath challenged and taunted God's people, and it was hard for them to take. And maybe it seems a little like that now. The virus affecting our world seems to challenge and taunt us. Things got better before getting worse, and just when we thought things were easing, they weren't. It's been hard to take. And maybe we stand around not knowing what to do in the face of this challenge. We feel helpless. But here's the thing. When David did finally go at Goliath, Goliath laughed that they sent a boy to fight him. But David answered, "You come to me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts." And maybe with the Goliath virus we're facing, maybe for all the Goliaths we are facing, that should be our claim. The virus and so many other of life's difficulties can seem frightening and overwhelming. But we need to remember we come to them in the name of the Lord of hosts, and God is with us. If ever our lives have experienced a 40 days like they had in the Bible, this time is probably it. When will it end? We don't know. All we know is that it will take as long as it takes. But in the meantime, we don't cower in fear. We walk with God. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.